Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are saying goodbye to the Tier 9 German battleship, the Friedrich der Große. I'm probably mispronouncing that, and I will have to say I spent a good two full nights playing this ship, trying to get a good game for you, and I will be showing the matches, or better yet, the screens where I've had really good games, but unfortunately our team ends in defeat, and I didn't really want to give a replay showing a defeat. I will post them while the replay begins, but anyways, we're gonna go ahead and move on and say goodbye to the Friedrich der Große. And this German battleship, well, let's take a look at the stats. Survivability, you have 84,300 health points, and the armor, obviously, you have the turtleback armor, and overall, you don't really get Citadel due to that turtleback armor. You do have the Citadel deck of 100 millimeters, and that normally will protect you, but you can get Citadel if a armor piercing does come directly down. You have torpedo protection, which is about 27%, so it's not the greatest in the world, but it's workable, to say the very least. Moving on to the armaments, you have 4 dual guns, 420 millimeters, with a reload time of 28.2 seconds. Turn time is 32.8 seconds. Max dispersion is 247 meters, and German dispersion is terrible. You will always see that. Maximum HE shell damage is 5,000. Max AP damage is 13,500, and I am running the 420 millimeter shells instead of the 406. Range is 18.5, and velocity on the shells is 800 meters per second. So normally this battleship is far superior if you're closer in range, less opportunity for the shells to go whichever way whenever you fire. Sometimes you'll have perfect shots, sometimes you'll have shots that will just go downright crazy. Right, moving on to the secondary armaments, you have 8 dual 105. They have a reload time of 3.2 seconds. Max HE damage is 1300 with a 9.5% fire chance and a range of 10.6. Obviously, I am running a full secondaries build, so yes, very beneficial. Now then, you do have 6 dual 150 millimeters. You have a reload time of 7.1 seconds. Max HE damage of 1700 with 8.5% fire chance, and obviously a 10.6 range. It is probably the real big gimmick of German battleships are the secondaries. Now moving on to AA defense, you have 6 quad 20 millimeters. Average damage is 38 with a range of 2.4 kilometers. Then you have 26 dual 37 millimeters. Average damage of 268 with a range of 4.2 kilometers. And then you have 8 dual 105 millimeters. Average damage is 133 with a range of 5.4. So your AA is pretty decent. Now let's take a look at maneuverability. You have a max speed of 31.5 knots, and I do run the speed flag on it. Turning circle radius is 940 meters with a rudder shift time of 14 seconds. So she's a little sluggish. She kind of turns very wide, not as bad as the Kurfurst, but she does have that nice quick speed, which will allow you to get around the map fairly quickly. Moving on to concealment, I do run a full concealment build, and it will be actually a little bit less than what it is right now. Detectability range by sea is 13.4 kilometers. I do not have a camouflage, so that does reduce your detection, I think, by 0.2 kilometers, something like that. And detectability range by air is 12.4. Now, I did get a lot of flack for running a concealment build. I think it is very beneficial because it actually allows you to get closer to your enemies. Moving on to modules. So obviously I did not go for the extended range. I just wanted to get to the Kurfurst. This does increase your range to 20.3 kilometers, but firing at that range does increase your dispersion even more. So Obviously, everything is very, very similar. The only major difference is that I went for main battery modification 3, which does increase your reload time. Now, this might be slightly heresy since I did not get secondary battery modification 3, which reduces your reload time on your secondary batteries by 20%. So your gun's secondary batteries will fire a little bit quicker, but it's marginally faster. It's only by 1 or 2 seconds. While this does increase your reload time, but does slow down your turret rotation speed. So with the 420 millimeters, it does reduce your reload time by 4 seconds. If you run the 406, you can get it down to 24.6 seconds. The damage on the shells does decrease a little bit. It can be beneficial running the 406 just so you can actually fire a little bit quicker, but 420s have a higher penetration value. Obviously, they do have a longer reload time of about 3.6 seconds, so that's something to keep in mind. All right, moving on to my captain. My captain is a full 19-point captain. Very nice to actually have him. So probably first off, go for direction center for catapults just to have that additional fighter. Although the time that the planes are out is not as long as it used to be. It's now down, I believe, to 90 seconds, something like that. So yeah, it kind of sucks. Next one, obviously expert marksman, superintendent. Then I went for manual fire, concealment expert, and advanced firing training. Like I said, I used to get a huge flack for going for concealment, but now since they redid the captain's tree, you can actually get the concealment expert and the secondaries. Basic firing training I wish was a 1 point still. It does help your secondaries quite a bit. It does allow them to reload a little bit quicker. Last point, go for preventive maintenance. Not really much you can do there. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into replay. I will see you guys there. Alright everyone, welcome back to a replay in the Friedrich der Große. And I will have to say, I had so much trouble with this ship. I spent 2 full nights playing her constantly, trying to get a good game. And I did have actually several good games. I'm actually going to quickly post the end screen so you can actually see how good of games it could have been. But unfortunately, almost every good game that I did have, it ended in defeat because the team just died, and yeah, I tried to carry. And I actually had one game where I could have won, but I made a few mistakes, and unfortunately I died from it, and we lost the game. But anyways, we're actually on playing Loop. We have a Iowa, Friedrich der Große, Tirpitz, Amagi, Colorado, Neptune, New Orleans, Chapayev, 2 Kutuzovs, a Benson, and a Shotsu. On the enemy team, there is a Iowa, Friedrich der Große, 2 North Carolinas, Nagato, Donskoy, Otago, Atlanta, Miyoko, Benson, Mahan, and a Bliskovica. So I do decide to move east towards C, and you may have noticed I actually don't have camo. I believe when I went into battle, I didn't go back to port, and I didn't see if I actually had a camouflage on. So unfortunately for me, I don't have a camo, which just helps with my detection. And my captain does have concealment expert, and I do run the concealment module. The additional camouflage actually reduces the detection just a little bit, but it does help, and also helps with the dispersion on enemy shells. We are detected, which is unfortunate, which means there's probably a destroyer around. Now, one bad thing is this friendly New Orleans captain that is just to the east of me is not providing a lot of assistance. There is the enemy Bliskovica, who is 14 kilometers away. He's the only target I can really shoot at, so I do decide to open up. And of course, we are being shot at probably by the enemy Benson, or even the Mahan. It's kind of hard to tell at this point. But the enemy Otago does appear as well. Keeping myself kind of angled, and our secondaries are opening up. And I will say that I am grateful that I do have the dispersion reduction on the Kurfurst, or the Friedrich der Große. it is beneficial because you're able to actually land shells. You can see we're actually landing 9 shells at a kilometer of 10, at a distance of 10 kilometers, is what I meant to say. But once again, I still think having that ability to actually fire from both sides is beneficial as well. But I'm not complaining. It's nice to have both concealment plus the additional reduction on your secondaries as well. So I do find it beneficial, but I'm actually gonna see if I can try to pull away. I am being focused on by the enemy destroyer as well as the Atago, and then I believe there's a few shots coming in from a battleship. Hoping this Atago will actually show me a broadside. Dispersion still iffy with the Friedrich der Große, which is unfortunate, and that's the major thing, is how the German battleships still have dual turrets compared to, say, the Iowa and the Ismo, which actually have triple turrets. So there are more shells grouped together than, say, the Friedrich der Große. But I'm not complaining too much. The North Carolina on the enemy team has grounded himself and essentially is going to go down to the flooding by the Shiratsuyu. Bliskovica, decent range, open fire. Land a big hit, devastating strike on that Bliskovica. And that is our very first kill of the game. And I don't think the destroyer captain was very happy with that, as you will probably see there in chat in just a little bit. Yep, he's calling bullshit about the MM. Yeah, it sucks. I understand. I've been in his situation before, but there's not much you can do about it. It's just, it kind of comes down to what ships are available and what matchmaking has to do to ensure that the teams are even. So our salvo on the Atlanta, we only get over penetrations, so not much damage. And I have accidentally forced myself all the way south, but this is going to allow me to get into position to assist. The enemy team has captured A and B, and we have yet to capture C. And we have 3 battleships pushing into C, 1 battleship hiding behind an island, and 3 cruisers and a destroyer trying to push into B. But I think it's time that they need some big caliber guns to help. So I'm going to quickly get over there as quick as I can. And this is one good thing about the Friedrich der Große, is her speed. The German battleships having that quick speed, 31 knots roughly. It really does allow you to get around the map very quickly and assist your team. I'm very grateful for Germans having fast battleships. It's so much fun to actually be able to get around the map fairly quickly. There's the enemy Miyoko showing a kind of big broadside. Did look like he took a torpedo hit. And at this range, yeah, there's not much you can do. Get a unneeded citadel, and we do take out the enemy Miyoko. That is our second kill of the game. Very, very nice. Now B is almost fully captured. The Shiratsuyu is actually doing a good job dropping torpedoes and capturing base. Looks like the Miyoko did drop torpedoes, but we should be able to avoid it as long as we can get around. Took a look at the Friedrich der Große on the enemy team. Not quite there in a position where I can fire, but we should be able to dodge these torpedoes as well as open up on this Friedrich der Große. Now, it is difficult to citadel a German battleship close range. It is actually, it can occur at longer range. Generally, your top deck is not at that thick, and any plummeting shells of a large enough caliber can actually penetrate into your citadel, and you get citadeled. I've had it happen a little bit too much to me, which is unfortunate. Looks like the Friedrich der Große is kind of having a bad time. He's dealing with 4 battleships, 2 cruisers. Yeah, he's gonna go down here very, very shortly. Now the enemy team, they've taken A, but they've also kind of pushed back. Their battleships are kind of standing at range. There I was. Still around broadside. Their Nagato is staying at range. I mean, I understand the Nagato. Nagato actually does take out the friendly Iowa, which is unfortunate. The Iowa was fairly low on health. Opened up against this Nagato and get mediocre damage. Nothing too extravagant. Now, the Nagato actually has been buffed probably a few patches ago. Previously, it was very easy to Citadel a Nagato, even if it was slightly angled. You were able to penetrate through the forward bow armor into the turret, and yeah, Nagatos definitely needed a buff, but we do get 2 Citadels against that Donskoy, and our last salvo gets an over penetration and gives us our 3rd kill of the game. Very, very nice. Now I am going to take full advantage of the Shiratsuyu's smoke screen. And I do have my hydroacoustics up just in case I do have to deal with any torpedoes. There is the enemy Atlanta that is currently hiding behind an island, and there are torpedoes incoming. And we get a Citadel on the enemy Iowa and earn Confederate. Very, very nice. We're sitting at 102,262 points of damage. But we're not done yet. Now, I do have to be weary of this Atlanta. Atlanta does have torpedoes. And I would like to kill this Atlanta. And we fired a salvo at the Iowa, but the Tempest does take out the enemy Iowa. Don't really understand what this Iowa was doing. And probably here, I shouldn't have pulled to the right. I should have stayed pulling into the left. Atlanta drops his torpedoes. And yeah, we're probably going to get torpedoed by this Atlanta. But we should be fine. Torpedoes are not that damaging for Atlanta. How many torpedoes are we going to take? We took all 4 torpedoes. Does leave us kind of low on health. We do land a decent sized hit against the Mahan. This is the same destroyer that was opening up on us at the very beginning of the match. Secondaries are away. Hopefully we can get rid of him. That would be nice. But we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, he's no longer spotted. But at the exact same time, we are no longer spotted. I'm going to try to get my guns to bear, but this Nagato is going to go down very, very quickly. And all that's left on the enemy team is the Atago, the Mahan, and I believe also a Benson. I believe the Benson is currently dealing with 3 cruisers and just went down to the friendly Chapayev, which is very, very nice. Opened up on this Atago. This was the Atago second ship that we saw in this game. We get a over penetration, which is unfortunate. And dispersion is, you're really at the mercy of RNGesus whenever you're playing a German battleship, because dispersion just goes wonky. Now the Atago goes down, and all that's left on the enemy team is the enemy Mahan, and that's pretty much going to be game. So we'll see you in the victory screen. So our team earned a victory, and we brought home 308,341 silver with 2,706 XP and 544 free XP. We earned 2 devastating strikes and a Confederate. We did 107,662 points of damage, 28 shell hits, 2 incapacitation, 3 ships destroyed, 1 fire, 4 citadels, and 23 secondary hits. We earned top of the team with a base XP of 1,718, and it was a very, very short game. So you can see we did about 27,000 against the Donskoy, about 12,000 against that poor Bliskovica that complained about being in this matchmaking, and then about 10,000 against the ARP Miyoko, and around 20,000 against the Iowa. So did a fairly decent sized game. Our main battery shells did around 101 1,000 points of damage. Secondaries did around 7,000, and fires did unfortunately only 146. But you can see how quickly the battle did commence. It only took about 12 minutes and 16 seconds. So after everything was said and done, and it can get very expensive to run the Friedrich der Große, we only brought home 107,341, and I'm very grateful to actually have premium, because you can see without premium we only bring home around 4,561. So yeah, it's kind of almost paid to win sometimes, but I will have to say I won't miss the Friedrich der Große. I'm not saying it's a terrible ship, but it's definitely has its weaknesses and faults, so I'm definitely looking forward to the Kurfurst. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zai Jen.